Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick. Another week, another variant edition.
Well, that would be a few variant editions, right? I mean, we've got variant edition Tuesdays and the discussion.
Yeah, but we only have the discussion every other week. But what Mike's trying to say is that we've got plenty of variant edition every week to help you make it through your miserable existence.
I'm not miserable.
But you're on variant edition, right?
Okay. Joking aside, for now anyway, Variant Edition brings you the best comics have to offer: news, reviews, interviews, and we've been doing it since February of 2006.
That's right. So sit back and prepare for a solid dose of comic book culture.
Solid, you say? Solid. Ultimates 2, issue 13. There is nothing more you can hope for in a comic than what the Ultimates is doing right here. If you guys haven't been reading this, you really need to go out and buy it. As a matter of fact, skip this review, come back to it after you've read all of the Ultimates. It's that great of a story that I don't want to ruin it for you. For those of you who haven't skipped ahead now, let me just tell you, this book is amazing. The artwork is supreme. There's an 8-page foldout in the center of the book with Quicksilver on every single page of the 8-page foldout because he moves so fast. And let's backtrack here a little bit, okay? Thor has been in a mental institution because everyone thinks he's crazy. And then this other group comes in from, outside of the United States and picks a fight because that's what they do, evidently. They're a superhero army that's, being sent here to deal with us. Our superhero army, our Ultimates. And, of course, everything kind of goes wrong, and there's a big fight that happens in D.C., and they're about to lose, and the reason why is because they have their own god on their team, and it's Loki. Loki in his ultimate form, who is kind of more like an emo kid for some reason. But that's okay, because he's Loki. He's messing with Thor in the mental institution. He's actually... Scarlet Witch teleports Thor to the battlefield, and then Loki kind of makes him think that he's still in the mental institution, but he's not. Big fight goes down, and Loki's like, I'm not scared of you. I got dragons and trolls and goblins and giants and demons, and I'm going to summon them all right now. Ha 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 ha. And of course, Thor does what Thor does best and picks up Loki and kills a dragon, and then they fight, and then they get crashed into a wall. And there's this great line where Loki's just like, did you really think you could take me by yourself? Did you really think you'd come alone? And Thor just kind of looks at him in a very, smug sort of way and says, you idiot, I didn't come alone. And then the rainbow thing comes down from Asgard, and a whole Asgardian knights show up, and they just decimate their army. The other important thing to note in this comic, other than that amazing 8-page spread with Quicksilver in every single page, is to remember now that the Ultimates are no longer going to be federal, Nick Fury's federal team of superheroes, because it's going to get the government in too much trouble. So what are they going to do? They're going to go freelance. Tony Stark's going to fund the operation, and they're going to work out of Stark Tower. Move on with the story. This is going to be amazing. If you're not reading this story yet, pick it up. Pick up the back issues. Pick up graphic novels if you have to get all the back issue stories for this. But pick up the Ultimates. The Ultimates is where your money's at. It's just so enjoyable.
All right, everybody, and just like there's always a new flavor of Coke, there's a new story for 30 Days of Night. But me, I like my Coke classic. This story, Eben and Stella, 30 Days of Night, really didn't do much for me. Granted, it's only the first issue, but it didn't really pull me in. It was the first 10 pages was like a male-female vampire husband and wife kind of thing beating the crap out of each other. And a lot of bad puns, like marital puns and stuff like that. And it's them kind of like moaning and groaning for like a bunch of nothing. And then it goes into vampires in the city who just like vandalize stores and kill people and stuff, which is cool and all. But it didn't really do much. And it's just like they're throwing random things at you. And then at the end, you see this woman who's apparently like the last in a lineage of ancient vampire hunters, who's trying to team up with her nerdy cyber geek husband to fight vampires. And she says, like, oh, if I use the internet, that's going against how my ancestors would have done it. Whatever, that's a bunch of crap. Vampires use the internet, you fight fire with fire. That's how I see it. So yeah, I think those characters are going to go hunt some vampires or something. I don't know where. I guess they're just everywhere. Yeah, it really didn't do anything for me. And the thing that I really kind of hated about it is, like, throughout the comic, there's someone either in the background, actually at one point, like a bigger character, reading 30 Days of Night. I understand, like, it's kind of campy, like, oh, tee-hee-hee. But it's just, like, I kind of envied that character because he was reading something good. And yeah, that's about it. If you want to check it out, it's all right. The one thing that did surprise me, though, was the artist that they got to do the art for it. And I mean, a lot of people 30s and 90s just like, oh, you know, Ben Templesmith, and that's it. This guy was a really nice transition, kind of like how they had Mike Hawthorne for The Exterminators do 2 issues, because it matched the feel and the look of Tony Moore's art, kind of like how this artist matched and the look and feel of Ben Templesmith's art, but didn't try to become Ben Templesmith, just did his own style. That was nice. Other than that, I hope the next issues do something. Hey everybody, it's been a long wait, but finally issue 5 of All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder is out. So I got my man Eddie over here to help me out with this discussion. Well, not discussion, more of a review. But yeah, issue 5. It was...
Took forever, but was amazing.
Yeah, I know a lot of people out there were just like, you know, I'm just fed up with it. It was like last February since issue 4 came out, and everybody was just getting fed up with it. You're like, oh, I'm not going to buy it when it picks up. Chances are, all those people who said that bought it, because it's Frank Miller and Jim Lee.
And they're going to love it.
Yeah.
They're going to love it.
So, yeah, so what was, like, the gist of it? It was picking up from, you know, where Robin was kind of left in the Batcave to fend for himself.
And Superman had a meeting with Wonder Woman and Plastic Man and Green Lantern.
Which I thought was a nice take on it, because it was kind of like... not an official meeting, but just like a sub-meeting of the Justice League.
In a back alleyway, nonetheless.
Exactly, and like everybody's kind of against each other. The way that Frank Miller wrote for Wonder Woman
was awesome.
Great.
Amazing. She hates man.
She pretty much hates everything, and she wasn't going to take crap from anybody. She's like, look, you guys are being stupid about this. This is what we have to do. We got to kill Batman. I'll cut his head off myself and put it on a pole or whatever the hell she said. And I don't know. My personal favorite part of this issue was, once again, just Frank Miller writing for Batman while Batman's jumping from rooftops going, man, I love being the...
First scene, him laughing, saying, I love being the goddamn Batman.
That was great. That was great.
Just his whole take and dialogue of Batman is just amazing. A new take on it. Just
yeah. And a lot of people out there are saying, you know, oh, I don't like it because it deviates from what I familiarize myself with as, you know, Batman.
They say it's too much like Sin City, but you know what? He wrote Batman first, like Sin City, and then he wrote Sin City. Sin City's like Gotham City, if you think about it, so it makes sense.
And this Batman isn't a continuation from a previous story. I mean, they're just bringing in Dick Grayson for the first time in this story. It's a reimagining of Batman. It's just
re-envision of Batman altogether.
I mean, this is Frank Miller's Batman. You kind of have to understand and expect that there's going to be a lot of shadiness. You're going to kind of hate Batman at times, because he's kind of a prick.
Definitely.
And I don't...
Very self-centered.
Yeah, definitely.
Love it.
But I mean, he has that plan. Mm-hmm. It's not like he does nothing for no reason.
Mm-hmm. It's all about confidence. That's why it takes down everybody.
And it's all about knowing what you're doing.
Just like when he dive bombs on those guys in the alleyway. And he goes, I'm just going to laugh and get their attention that way. And laughs almost like the Joker, it seems like.
It was just a bunch of ha-has with Batman jumping from one roof onto these muggers.
Kicks his ass, all the guy's ass. He breaks the one guy's arm, the rapist.
And the thing that was the best about how Frank Miller writes for Batman...
Best part of the comic.
He goes into, like, why Batman does what he does to these muggers. And he's just like, hey, rapist, it's called a compound fracture that's never going to set right. You're going to be feeling that forever. And
you're going to live with it for the rest of your life.
Oh, it's so good.
And you'll remember me every time it rains.
Exactly. It's talking about arthritis and everything. It's just, Frank Miller has such a passion for writing for Batman's dialogue. It's
just the seriousness of it. It like strikes right through you. Yeah. It's good.
And it's just, I don't know, he's not your Boy Scout Superman. This is Batman, which is, you know, why in this story all the other superheroes are saying, you know, we got to do something about Batman, because he's kind of reckless, doesn't really follow the rules, but he gets results. I mean, you're going up against bad guys, muggers, rapists, you know, big-time villains.
Serial killers.
You can't go lightly with them. You got to do this stuff, and Batman knows about that.
He does have the craziest rogues.
That's true. That's true. And once again, another really great part of this issue, the end scene with Alfred.
Oh, definitely.
How many times do you see Alfred in a comic, like, working out? Going to town on a punching bag.
It was great.
It was just, you know, it was all just him thinking to himself about, like, you know, what Batman did, how he stole this kid and brought him here. And I've never thought of ever doing a story or heard of a story where Alfred wasn't agreeing with Bruce Wayne or Batman about what he's doing. He's kind of working against him like how Superman and the rest of the superheroes are doing.
It's just totally different from anything they've ever done with Batman, which is great. I want to see something different, you know? It's new, it's fresh, it's just entertaining. I love it. I don't know.
And I mean, there isn't even, like, a main villain in this story right now. Right now, the main villain's Batman, which is so good.
That's amazing.
So to all you naysayers out there who are like, I'm not going to, read this because it took forever to come out.
Just take it for what it is.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the wait. If it takes another year for the next issue, let it.
I think it's almost worth it because I was getting pissed just like all the rest of the fans, and I read this last issue and I'm like, wow, I forgot how great All-Star Batman was. So.
Yeah. So yeah, just good to see that Frank Miller's still doing awesome Batman.
So Jim Lee, you have to draw a little faster.
Well, you got to stop working on that video game, but that's a different situation. So yeah, that was our review for...
So everybody, go out and read it and enjoy.
Ultimate X-Men 82. The beginning of a new story arc and a new beginning for anybody who hasn't been reading Ultimate X-Men. Like me, the Underneath Part 1. Evidently, Nightcrawler has left the X-Men team. Oh, wait, let's back it up. Xavier's dead. Huh? Toad joined up with the ex-student guys who are not X-Men anymore. They're just ex-students, and they're making a school. And Nightcrawler goes to see the Morlocks, and then Toad gets sent to see the Morlocks, and then Nightcrawler and Toad get owned by the Morlocks. Meanwhile, Bishop and Storm and Pyro are in Australia making a new X-Men team. And of all the people that could possibly change the fate of the universe, they get Dazzler. I'm very confused as to what is going on with Ultimate X-Men number 82. I don't know what to say about this comic. The art was nice. And Nightcrawler disappears for a second with a bamf. But I'm lost. Help me.
Hey everybody, it's been a big week for Batman. Not only did All-Star Batman 5 come out, but the new 665 issue of Batman came out. Which, by the way, starts off with your hookers from the last issue that come to Batman's rescue after he's been beat up to a pulp. And they take him off to some place where he could be picked up by Alfred. And when he wakes up in the hospital, but he had a dream of a vision where he saw 3 people acting as Batman that were basically the third Batman. He was warned that would destroy Gotham. So he wakes up in a panic, and Robin and Alfred are there, and Robin's all upset, so he goes off thinking he could take on the guy that beat up Batman, trying to prove to him, because I guess he feels threatened by Damian, who is Batman's son. So when Robin goes out, he finds the guy that beats up Batman, and he tries taking him on by himself, which is this huge guy who's on steroids that looks just like Bane, which why Batman was afraid of him in the first place, because it brought out his biggest fear, because it made him remember when he got his back broken. So he tries fighting him. In the nick of time, just before Robin's about to get his ass kicked, Batman comes, saves the day. So after Batman beats the crap out of this guy, he basically runs into Gordon and talks about how corrupt Gotham City has been getting again, and they try formulating a plan, and then it leaves off, which in the next issue is just going to be a huge issue, the return of Damian, Batman's son, issue 666. Who could it be? The next Batman that might take over Gotham, which was envisioned in Batman's mind? You'll just have to wait and see. So read up.
Do you like Sodomy? Because I know everybody does. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this review. The Goons, Satan, Sodomy Baby. Awesome comic. It was delayed for like ever because of a bunch of, angry mothers or something. Long story with that. But it's one of those comics that people heard about a long time ago. It got like pulled from the shelves or not even put on the shelves and a big hubbub made. You waited a while and now it's out with a nice disclaimer cover, which is pretty funny when you read it. It goes into everything that is in the comic, and if you have like moral values not to read it and all this other stuff. Eric Powell, such a nice job with writing that front cover. Just very nice tongue-in-cheek humor, and completely against how the humor in Satan Sodomy Baby is, which is just absolutely offensive to everybody and everything, which is great. It covers everything from sodomy to religion to abortions to anything that'll upset anybody. It's such a great comic. It was just lighthearted. It didn't really mean to. It's just, if you're familiar with the Goon, the writing styles of the Goon, and the way that the characters in the Goon are, it all makes sense. I mean, it starts off with these hillbillies, one who gets, raped by Satan in the butt because he was having sex with a pig that was Satan in pig form. Long story. And, out pops this son of Satan from this hillbilly's butt. And he's got a huge wang, and it keeps growing throughout the comic, which is even funnier. And also his wang spits out fire. Don't know if you guys knew that. But, yeah, the son of Satan really doesn't do anything. He kind of just, like, chills out. This mob comes after him to be like, oh, we gotta kill that Satan spawn. And his fire-shooting PP, takes care of him. But honestly, he was just there, and actually, Frankie and, the goon, they got along with him fine. They just, they took him to the church and figured out, oh, crap, this is the Antichrist, we gotta get rid of him. So they had to do, some kind of, like, reverse abortion or something. They had to shove him back into the hillbilly who had him so that the priest can shoot him with the shotgun. Bunch of crazy stuff going on. But anyway, the great thing about this is it's insanity. It's such a ridiculous story and such great little, like, side things. Like, the priest was yelling at Frankie saying, like, oh, while Goon's going to get that hillbilly, you have to find a new religion if you haven't found it yet. So there's, like, different panels of Frankie going to, like, different religions, like Buddhism, Judaism, bunch of other crap. Just this character going to all these different religious heads, going like, your religion's not for me, and, like, having these complaints with it. Like, for the Jews, he didn't want to cut the skin off of his wang because he's Frankie. But it was great. It was such a 1930s insanity fest. If anybody is down for anything that's offensive, yet incredibly funny and incredibly original, because I don't know about you, I never read nothing about no Satan Sodomy baby with his gigantic fire-spitting wang, but that's just me. So if you guys are up for something different, definitely check out the Goons' Satan Sodomy baby.
Ultimate Spider-Man number 109, part 4 of the Ultimate Knights. And it's at this point in time when I'd like to say, why didn't I read parts 1, 2, or 3? They've been sitting on my desk at home, just kind of taking up space. For those of you who don't know, apparently Stephen Strange, Daredevil, Spider-Man, and Moon Knight, along with Iron Fist and that other guy, are all going to fight the Kingpin. And it's this whole big plan. And Moon Knight's going in, but he's not going in as Moon Knight. He's going in undercover as Ronin for this new assassin for the Kingpin. And Matt Murdock is going to take him down from the inside, and the Kingpin is finally going to crumble, and the city's going to be free of the Kingpin's clutches. And it all goes wrong. Every last thing that could possibly happen that goes wrong goes wrong. Ronin, Moon Knight, is crazy, has multiple personalities, is just messed up in the head. He goes and gets Spider-Man before the plan is even talked about, beats the hell out of him, gives him to the Kingpin, and then he's in the basement, bleeding out. And then the Kingpin punches him because he knows that it's Moon Knight. And then he doesn't want to kill Spider-Man because guess what? He actually owns the right to Spider-Man. Apparently this company that he owned at one time is actually somebody who had the copyright for the likeness of Spider-Man in all of its forms. So the Kingpin's like, you're an annoyance, but you're making me a lot of money at the same time. I want to kill you, but I'm getting rich off you. And sure, if I do kill you, there's like gonna be a great, surge in your merchandise, and I'm gonna make lots of money. And then it's gonna drop off by 80%, so I'm gonna be poor. So I don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna send you back out there. And then Spider-Man, of course, goes and meets up with the other, Ultimate Knights and picks a fight with Daredevil. And then stuff goes on, and you find out who the real, the real turncoat in the group wasn't really Moon Knight. It was this other guy. And I'm not going to tell you his name because I don't remember it. That's a hint, okay? But I'm not going to tell you what else is going on because there's just too much going on in this story. It's a great story arc. Ultimate Spider-Man is now back up onto where I think with the Clone Saga, it was back up there. But now it's even better than I ever imagined Ultimate Spider-Man could be. Pick it up. All of it.
Hey everybody, I read issue 2 of the Chronicles of Wormwood, the new Garth Ennis story. Still loving it. Issue 1 was great. It was something that you don't normally see in comics. And I mean, not being a religious person, but having a background in religion, it's interesting to read and an interesting take if you're not so, tied down to beliefs or faith or anything. You're pretty much open to anything, which is why I really like this story, because it's kind of out there. Especially in 2. You start off seeing this Australian Pope. That's right, he's Australian. So Australian Pope practically having an orgy with these nuns. It's like 3-4 nuns, they're all getting drunk, and he's just having his way with them. And for once, they're attractive nuns, because I've never seen an attractive nun, but they were in this comic, which was really cool. And it was just him, and he gets interrupted by, his little second-in-command guys, and they're telling him about, oh, you know, Danny Wormwood is doing this crap saying that, you know, these born-agains are idiots because he was on that interview about how people react to his TV station's programs. And the Pope is all, like, yelling at them. He's like, oh, if he didn't do anything at this time and that time, then he's not going to do anything now. And the Pope didn't act at all. I mean, if him having an orgy in the beginning wasn't enough, but he didn't act at all like the head of the church should be. But honestly, I would take this Pope over the current Pope if I was Catholic. Just because he had a sense of realism to him. And he knew what he was doing. Granted, he was foul-mouthed and, you know, womanizer and crap, but he seemed like he got the job done. So the story goes on, and it's more just with Danny Wormwood dealing with his normal day kind of crap, and having his father stop in, who is, you know, the Lord of Darkness, Satan. And he doesn't like his father. He broke apart from his father, doesn't want to help him in, you know, the apocalypse or the end of days or whatever. So he's kind of like telling him off, and Satan's going into like, oh, you know, this is our time now to rise up and take the world, because sooner or later someone's going to be playing with nukes, and then the world's just going to be covered in ash. But Satan wants to build the world and build his kingdom. He doesn't want just nothing. And he tells him to go, you know, F himself, and he goes. I don't know if he Fs himself, but he just leaves. And end of the story is kind of good because he leaves an interview with somebody, and he goes into, like, how he can pick up on, like, reporters' signals and stuff like that. And, like, he read her mind for a split second, but it forces your memories to the front. So for a week, that's all this person's going to think about. And it was, like, some traumatic childhood experience for this woman. So the interview goes, you know, short. But he comes home, and before he gets there, he gets a call from Joan of Arc, who in the previous issue he kind of has, like, an affair with, because he's got this girlfriend, but he still has sex with Joan of Arc, because I guess I would have sex with Joan of Arc. Not now, but anyway. So yeah, so he told her not today. So then he goes back to his place, and it's Joan of Arc in there with his current girlfriend, and she just, you know, lets him have it. And at the end, it's him going to his bar where he hangs out with, you know, Jesus. And he's sitting there, and she's just like, you know, we should do a road trip. And he's like, no, I'm not down with that interstate stuff. And she's just like, no, afterlife road trip. I have no idea what that means, but I'm so looking forward to it. Wherever this is going, I bet it's good.
Alright, that's it for Variant Edition.
So you've heard what we have to say, now it's your turn. Head on over to our forums and let us know what you think.
Or suggest a topic for the discussion. Or you can check out our upcoming website. We're setting July for the launch.
But July, that's pretty far away.
It is, but don't forget the con season is about to start. In June, we've got Heroes Con and Wizard World Philadelphia. And just like last year, Variant Edition will be heading to Philly in force.
Ah, looking forward to the good times in Philly, and then the months of waiting for footage to hit the net.
Hey!
Sorry, Kev.
Don't forget, we have quite a few ways to watch us. iTunes, VO, YouTube, Google Video, Blip TV, and On TV through Akimbo On Demand. But if you want the best quality video and the quickest downloads, head over to variantedition.com.
That's it for Variant Edition. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Do it again.
Now we dance.
No.
Dance. Now we dance.
I liked it.
Now we
That
dance.
was fun.
Okay.
Now we dance.
Now we do it.
dancing.
Now we start the lawnmower.
And that is
We
it.
start the lawnmower.
I'm gonna do the dice.
So you can